up and it was this pickup truck.
Hiding under a security camera, probably not excited.
Tonight, we look at 6 disturbing camping encounters caught on camera. Real moments, real danger. Don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying footage like this. Let's begin. In 2023, a solo female van lifer known online as Cat Lady Van shared what would become one of her most unsettling stories to date. As someone who regularly documents her life on the road, from scenic wilderness escapes to overnight stays in city parking lots, she had seen her fair share of unusual moments, but nothing she had previously encountered would compare to the disturbing events that unfolded one night in an otherwise ordinary urban setting. That evening, she parked in what seemed like a safe, relatively quiet location within city limits. Other vans and RVs were stationed nearby, close enough to offer a sense of community, but far enough to maintain privacy. Everything felt routine until the early morning hours. She was suddenly awakened by loud, aggressive noises.
In the middle of the night, I woke up in the sound of several honk and a car that seems to drive all the time beside me. And I look up and it was this pickup truck. This man was driving in front of my van, putting his high beam and blocking my exit out. Driving after that behind me, turning around, honking at me, and doing this for at least 10-15 minutes. Honking, and he's just parked further into the parking lot, and I don't know if I should move or stay here.
Outside, a large white pickup truck had entered the lot and began circling her van in a menacing pattern. The driver repeatedly stopped in front of her, activated high beams that flooded her windows, then looped around to do it again. The horn blared over and over, each blast sharp and deliberate. What made it more unnerving was that none of the other nearby campers were targeted, only her. The truck didn't flash its lights or honk at anyone else. It was as if the driver was solely focused on her vehicle. Whether it was coincidence or premeditated, the message was clear. This wasn't random. For nearly 15 minutes, the truck boxed her in, blocking possible exit routes and creating a scenario that felt more like a trap than intimidation. She eventually made the difficult call to leave, not knowing if fleeing would escalate the situation or end it.
Alright, I don't see the van anymore. The pickup truck, it's a white pickup truck, was turning behind my van and coming up and honking and just pointing their big lights into my van. There's another camper up the road. There's another camper here. It didn't bother them. So I don't know what was the deal, but I'm just gonna move, guys. I know, guys, you cannot see me. And if I feel like I've been followed, I'm just gonna drive in front of a police station. We're gonna drive to a completely different town so we don't get arrested. We don't get bothered again later.
She drove off in silence, relocating to an entirely different town nearly 20 miles away. It wasn't until she parked near a police station that she finally felt a small measure of relief. What motivated the driver's behavior remains unknown. Was it someone who recognized her from social media? A person with a grudge against van dwellers? Or could it have been a case of mistaken identity? Each theory is unsettling in its own way, especially considering that no one else in the lot was harassed. Urban locations are often considered safer than remote ones, but in this case, being surrounded by people did little to prevent her from being singled out. So what do you think? Was this a case of random harassment? Or something much more deliberate? Hold on a sec. If you're enjoying this so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's continue. Uploaded on May 8th, 2023, this video began like many cheerful travel vlogs, full of optimism, lighthearted banter, and the excitement of starting a new chapter. Jen and Will, along with their dog Tucker, had just left Florida to embrace full-time RV living. With a new fifth-wheel trailer and a truck they'd affectionately named after characters from Yellowstone, their spirits were high. Their first major destination, New Orleans. The energy was light as they said goodbye to family, settled into their mobile home, and looked forward to the adventures ahead.
Today we are getting on the road and heading all the way out west to California. But yeah, it's just kind of a little sad this morning. Of course it's rainy and kind of set like a sad undertone to the day because we're leaving Matt. My parents came down to Florida for a couple weeks. They left this morning, so a lot of goodbyes happened today. We had a little bit of crying. No, I'm not about to cry. We already had our cries this morning, but we're trying to be positive. We're about to hit the road and head to New Orleans today. Really, truly, this is our first big like RV trip.
I know.
You know, going out west.
Like, we've RV'd, but we haven't adventured in this yet.
Also, when we did our full tour of our new fifth wheel, we completely forgot to tell you guys what we decided to name our truck and our fifth wheel.
No, how did we forget that?
If you guys are fans of the show Yellowstone, Will and I are big fans of the show. So we decided to name the truck Rip and the Paradigm Beth. So Rip's pulling Beth along down the road, and I think our trip just looks like Rip. Like, if you watch the show and you know Rip's personality, like, this truck just fits Rip.
At first, the mood remained upbeat. They documented RV upgrades, shared minor frustrations over damaged deliveries, and tried to make the most of their peaceful campsite just outside the city. Jen, however, began experiencing a strange illness. Not quite a cold, but more disorienting. She described it as a constant dizziness, like vertigo, making her feel disconnected and lightheaded. Still, she pushed through, resting when needed while Will handled errands and small maintenance tasks.
We just finished a couple things outside. We were trying to install a bed cover that we got from eTrailer, but it actually came a little bit damaged in the shipping, so they're gonna actually figure it all out for us, whether it's getting a new one or getting new parts to fix that. But we were planning on doing that today now that we finally had some peace and space here at this campground. So that kind of sucks we can't install that today, but we did get our Max Chalks out for the first time and put those on. Now we are going to be putting our new mattress in our bedroom, which I'm excited about because so far we've been sleeping on the mattress that came with the fifth wheel, which I have to say wasn't terrible compared to like most built-in RV mattresses, but it is pretty firm and I wake up sometimes and my shoulders falling asleep. So I'm very excited to put our new Brooklyn bedding mattress in. So I think Will's gonna come in. I'm gonna use today as an opportunity to wash the sheets since we're changing the mattress out. And then we have tons of boxes that we need to take to the dump. So hopefully there's a dump around here. I'm taking a little break just to rest because I'm feeling pretty under the weather. And it's weird because it's definitely like a chest cold, but I don't even feel that bad there. It's more, I think, the inner ear canal feels like I have fluid in it or something, so it feels like constant vertigo. So I just kind of feel like I'm in a dream state all the time, like I'm high on some NyQuil or something. So I'm just trying to like somewhat productive today and kind of be easy on myself. So we'll see. It's a really nice day, so we'll just get done as much as we can.
Eventually, they ventured into the city. New Orleans was vibrant and chaotic, full of energy, but not necessarily welcoming. The couple admitted feeling out of place. The noise, crowds, and unpredictability of the downtown scene left them on edge. They chalked it up to the holiday weekend until something much worse happened.
It's kind of stuck. Well, no, I mean, I had some other tools. Nothing really that major. More, it would have just been like a pain in the butt. But they didn't take any of that. Truthfully, it was stuff like, you know, toe straps and that light dad got me.
They took all that?
No, I'm saying all that stuff, it's not worth value.
Yeah.
But it would have been a pain in the butt to go and get all that stuff again.
I know.
You know?
Okay, let's leave.
Well, New Orleans put a little damper on our trip. So we truthfully didn't feel the most comfortable in New Orleans, being completely honest. We were kind of like, hey, it's St. Patrick's Day weekend, and maybe people are just being a little crazy. We didn't know if we'd ever really come back, to be honest. And then we came out to the car, and I'm like, Jen, why'd you leave the window down? And she's like, I didn't leave the window down. And I'm like, get closer, and I'm like, somebody busted out our window. So
we didn't really have anything of value sitting out.
no, luckily, I had a really nice Craftsman toolkit my parents bought me for Christmas years ago. I had it under the seat if it was in here, but we were doing a bunch of work on the RV yesterday, and I think I pulled it out for that. Keep your fingers crossed. I think it's in the RV. So
yeah, so we're a little rattled right now. We're here at a Lowe's that we're gonna go into and try to get the stuff to like patch the window real quick.
yeah, my guess is we're supposed to be leaving tomorrow morning. My guess is we'll have to get it fixed in Waco when we get there.
Yeah, which is our next stop.
Which is our next stop. And you know, I don't even know, maybe we'll call the insurance company, maybe we won't, depending on how much it is, if it's worth filing a claim and all that. So
yeah.
Returning to their parked vehicle near the campground, they found the truck window shattered. Glass littered the seats. At first, confusion, then a sinking realization. They'd been broken into. Tools, straps, and personal items were gone. Nothing of high monetary value, but all of it useful, and some irreplaceable. To make matters worse, their dog Tucker had been in the truck and nearly stepped on the glass. The rest of the night was spent vacuuming shards, sealing the window with tape, and assessing what could be salvaged. Shaken and frustrated, they debated whether to file an insurance claim or just patch things up and move on. The police were notified, but the couple knew there was little hope of recovering anything. What hurt most wasn't the theft. It was the violation. Knowing someone had targeted them in broad daylight while they were trying to enjoy their first big stop on the road. By the end of the episode, they were no longer tourists discovering a city. They were travelers eager to leave it behind. Jen and Will admitted that they had felt unsafe for much of their time in New Orleans, a feeling they tried to dismiss until the incident made it impossible to ignore. With their next stop in sight, they drove off, glass sealed with plastic, emotions raw, trust shaken. This wasn't the kind of content they set out to make. The transition from celebration to anxiety is what makes this video stand out. It captures a harsh reality often missing from polished travel vlogs. When your home is on wheels, you're not just a visitor, you're exposed, vulnerable. Every location is a risk, and sometimes that risk becomes real. They left New Orleans with more than a broken window. They left with a changed perspective. Because when your safety feels fragile and your space is violated, the road feels a little longer and a lot less free. Would you keep traveling after something like this? Or would you wonder if the next stop holds the same risks, or worse? In a video titled, "The Most Scared I've Been," the YouTube channel Salvage to Scenic shares a gripping personal story about truck camping gone wrong. Known for documenting peaceful overland adventures and off-grid explorations, this video takes a sharp turn into unsettling territory, capturing one of the creator's most intense and nerve-wracking nights on the road. The night began like many others. The creator parked in a public lot to rest after a long day of travel. But around midnight, things took a troubling turn. A vehicle pulled up nearby, honked, and began circling the truck. Moments later, a man walked close enough to make contact with the vehicle's front corner, and two figures dressed entirely in black appeared under a nearby security camera, seemingly trying to stay out of view. They placed a large bag, possibly a duffel or backpack, on the ground.
I'm looking out the window right now at two people in all black in hoods. They're hiding under a security camera, like probably out of sight. And they've got a bag on the ground, like a big duffel or backpack or something. And I don't know if they're like doing a drug deal or if they've got tools in there and they're fixing to break into my garage. But I don't really like this. Suddenly they have vanished. It looked like they went around that back corner of the building, but I don't really know. 10 minutes later and they're back. I'm just trying to sleep, man. Just walking over here right now. Bro, what the
The narrator watched from inside his truck, confused and on edge. The individuals loitered for several minutes before vanishing into the night, only to return again later. What followed was a chaotic sequence of noises, yelling, engine revving, and strange sounds echoing through the lot. Unable to determine if he was witnessing a drug exchange, a planned break-in, or something else entirely, the creator remained awake, constantly checking his rearview camera system to monitor the area. The tension persisted for hours, and although he eventually drifted off to sleep, the fear never fully faded. Despite the disturbing experience, the trip didn't end on a negative note. The next day brought stunning scenery and a renewed appreciation for the rewards of solo exploration, even when the risks are real. The event highlights the vulnerability of solo campers, especially in public or unregulated areas. The creator's use of security tech likely helped deter a worse outcome. Some viewers speculate that the duo may have been scoping out vehicles or using the lot for illicit activity. Others believe it was a random incident amplified by exhaustion and isolation. But the camera placement and behavior of the individuals suggests something more deliberate. For seasoned truck campers, this story raises a chilling question. When you're off the grid, or parked in a seemingly normal lot, how do you know you're truly alone? What do you think was going on that night? On August 21st, 2023, Jay, an explorer and paranormal investigator behind the YouTube channel The Journey is the Destination, returned to the eerie Erin Cemetery, located in the remains of a ghost town long since abandoned. This second visit was meant to improve upon a previous live stream that was riddled with technical issues, despite documenting strange and unexplained activity. Determined to get clearer evidence, Jay set out once again to investigate the site's reported paranormal history. Jay began his exploration by revisiting the same paths he walked in his previous trip, reflecting on the activity he had encountered before. The cemetery, surrounded by overgrown grass and weathered gravestones, holds the remains of both children and military veterans, many of whom rest in unmarked graves. As he explored the area, the distant sounds of cows echoed through the nearby fields, adding to the already unsettling atmosphere. Not long after starting the session, Jay's equipment began producing results. Words like soldier and sliced surfaced through the Spirit Talker app.
Is that one of the children buried here? There's no names on these 5 graves here, but they are children. And then that's a child, that's a child, that's a child. No name on that one. Can't really read that.
Words he associated with the military graves nearby. These messages, coupled with the unmarked resting places, seemed to reinforce the idea of lingering spirits attempting to communicate. He recalled an earlier visit where he believed he witnessed something shapeshift in the distance, a form that seemed to change before his eyes. That memory came rushing back as the same terminology began reappearing in the session, with references to shapeshifter and phrases suggesting transformation.
They take other forms.
They take other forms? The shapeshifters? Oh my god, I'm freaking out right now. Especially knowing that I've had some experiences out here and I've seen some stuff I can't explain out here.
Physical sensations soon followed, like sudden chills and goosebumps, moments Jay took as possible signs of a nearby presence. Further into the investigation, more disturbing words surfaced: dance, she killed, and hunter. He linked these to the graves of children and other tragic losses buried throughout the cemetery. While passing a row of small, unnamed graves believed to belong to children, Jay began to sense something stronger, something watching him. The feeling was soon backed by soft, inexplicable sounds nearby, including rustling in the grass and what sounded like faint movements. At one point, he took a photo in a narrow space near the cemetery and noticed what looked like blood spatter in the image. The source remained unclear, but the effect was jarring. As the session continued, the apps repeated phrases related to shape-shifting entities, echoing the exact theme from his past visit. Jay's reaction was a mix of anxiety and awe, feeling as though the place itself was intentionally reminding him of what he saw before. Strangely, although he could hear the cows in the distance, he never saw them, which led him to wonder whether something might be mimicking animal sounds to confuse or distract him. This thought aligned uncomfortably well with the recurring shapeshifter theme. At one point, he noticed a patch of grass shift under invisible pressure, as if something had just stepped through, a moment that left him visibly shaken. He also picked up names during the session, such as Charles and George, which he tried to use as potential conversation points. A connection was eventually made to a boy named James H. Jones, whose grave was located nearby. When Jay asked whether the children buried there might have died from illness or other tragic events, the responses remained cryptic, but emotionally heavy. Other phrases like "we hear you" and "see me" created the sense that something was actively trying to establish a line of communication. As the session wound down, Jay noted that this night was quieter than the previous trip, but the weight of the environment and the messages he received left a lasting impression. The consistent themes of shifting entities, cryptic phrases, and unexplainable physical reactions suggest something deeper may be tied to this location. While tools like Spirit Talker and GhostTube offer no guarantees, the pattern of responses across multiple visits is difficult to ignore. Could this cemetery harbor spirits attempting to reach out, or something far less human that thrives on misdirection? Though Jay never captured visual proof of the alleged shapeshifter, the repeated references, eerie encounters, and sensory experiences all point towards something lingering at Aaron Cemetery. And if something really can take on other forms to blend in or deceive, how would you ever know it was there in the first place? Deep in the isolated wilderness of Saskatchewan, Canada, an experienced outdoorsman set out for what was supposed to be a routine hunting trip. With only a crossbow in hand and a camera to document his journey, he was prepared to track one of North America's most formidable predators, the grizzly bear. The environment was harsh and unpredictable. Thick undergrowth and miles of untamed forest stood between him and his target. Every step forward required caution. Out here, a single misstep could make the difference between life and death. Hours passed as he moved silently through the terrain, staying downwind and alert to every sound. Each snapped branch or shift in the brush hinted at something large moving nearby. In this part of the country, the line between hunter and prey is thin and easy to cross. As daylight began to fade and shadows grew longer, a heavy, unnatural silence settled over the woods. It wasn't the calm of dusk. It was the kind of quiet that warned of something watching. Then, through the trees, it appeared, a massive grizzly, likely over 800 pounds, standing just yards away. Its size was staggering. The hunter froze as the bear locked eyes with him, unmoving, unflinching. The two stood locked in a silent standoff. He could feel his pulse pounding, each second stretched into what felt like minutes. The The bear wasn't frightened. It was calm, calculating. Then, movement. In a single motion, the hunter raised his crossbow and released. The bolt hit its mark. The bear reeled, then staggered. After a moment that felt suspended in time, its strength began to fade. Eventually, the giant collapsed. The moment ended, and the forest began to breathe again. Wind rustled the branches. Birds called in the distance. But something in the hunter had shifted. The encounter wasn't just a test of skill. It was a confrontation with something ancient and powerful. For all his preparation, tools, and experience, the hunter understood something most never do. Out there in the wild, control is an illusion. When faced with one of nature's most dangerous predators, survival is not guaranteed by expertise alone, but by instinct, timing, and a measure of luck. As he walked away from the kill, the weight of the moment settled in. He had survived. But it wasn't a victory. It was a reckoning. Because in the wild, you might think you're in charge, but the wild is always watching. And next time, it might not let you walk away. In 2015, a young YouTuber named James uploaded a video that would become the most mysterious and unsettling entry on his channel. What began as a casual behind-the-scenes recording for a short horror film soon took a disturbing turn that neither he nor his friend could have anticipated. James and his group had returned to a familiar wooded area to rebuild a proxy symbol for their Slender Man fan film. The symbol had originally been created weeks earlier, but almost as soon as they stepped back onto the site, the atmosphere shifted.
This is a strange video today. Basically, a few months back, few months, we made this. Most of you know that this is like, what is it again, bro? Proxy symbol. Like a proxy symbol, obviously like to do Slender Man and all that shit. And we did it for the movie trailer, and for Slender Man versus Jeff the Killer. It will be on the screen if you want to see it. That was a few months ago. Yeah, they can see it. We made a trailer a few months ago, Slender versus Jeff the Killer, and we made this. We haven't finished it yet, but we made this. And after we made it, we went somewhere else in these woods, and it just went. It's crazy. Do you want to tell them what happened?
Okay, so at first it wasn't that bad, but like it started feeling like it was hard to breathe, like everywhere in this forest. And I know people could just say like, oh yeah, because that's a forest, but it wasn't like that. And then all of a sudden, when we had finished this, that's when it started feeling like that. So anyway, we carried on walking around and like kept hearing like branches snapping behind us, and we turned around. They was snapped, but there's no one there and stuff. So and after that, James got a message on his phone from himself, and he didn't send it to himself because I had his phone. And I didn't do it either. So anyway, I gave it to James and said, you got a message. He looked it up, it said it was from himself, and it said, I'm with you.
It said my number on it, so you'd think it was me sending it, but it weren't. And no one has my number saying it could have been me. So that's a weird thing that happened, like, I don't even know how to explain that day. I never talked about it until this video, and what we're doing is seeing if anything else happens this video, because we're making it again. Obviously we're putting the sticks there to finish it off.
Well, trying.
This is getting intense.
The group described a sudden, oppressive feeling in the air, unlike anything they experienced during their first visit. Shortly after placing the sticks for the symbol, they began hearing branches snapping behind them. Each time they turned, there was no one in sight. Then came the first inexplicable incident. One member received a text message from his own phone number reading, "I'm with you," even though the device had been in someone else's possession. Whether it was a bizarre technical glitch or something more unsettling was unclear, but it rattled them enough to pause filming. As they tried to continue their setup, the forest seemed to grow restless.
Okay, so we haven't actually finished this yet. Like, this is literally just after we've done the first part of the vlog. As we turned the camera off, branches all around us just went all at the same time.
And do you hear the bushes moving as well? It sounded like someone was moving.
It sounded like there was people like coming towards us, and the bushes were moving and shit, but there was like no animals.
They noticed subtle movement in the brush and the sound of something large pushing through the undergrowth. At one point, the camera itself appeared to malfunction, producing a strange, blurry distortion that matched their growing sense of disorientation. They eventually finished the symbol, but soon after, another message appeared from the same number. This one read, "Time to go." Already unnerved, the group decided to leave. Before they could, one of them spotted what looked like a humanoid figure in the distance. Exhaustion and the fading light made it difficult to be certain, and they chose to dismiss it rather than investigate further. The authenticity of the encounter is heightened by the video's age, uploaded nearly a decade ago, before the boom of TikTok horror clips and heavily staged paranormal vlogs. It wasn't marketed as proof of the supernatural, it was quietly posted, leaving the audience to decide for themselves. The repeated self-text incidents are not easily explained by common phone glitches or simple pranks, especially given the possession of the devices at the time. Combined with the unexplained noises, visual distortion, and fleeting figure, the events form a pattern that's difficult to dismiss entirely. Was this a bizarre chain of coincidences amplified by their own storytelling? Or did they accidentally capture something far stranger than the horror film they had planned to make? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.